Just like an undressed tire, a filthy, corroded exhaust can take the look off any car no matter how long you've spent cleaning it. In today's video, I'm going to show you just how easy it is to get that exhaust looking brand new. Now I should explain at this point that the exhaust tip I'm going to be using in this video isn't actually off the car. I don't go to the effort of removing the exhaust every time I'm going to clean it, that would be insane. This is actually just a piece of scrap exhaust that I found in the garage that I've had lying about for a while. And I thought, well, before I get rid of it, I'll just take the opportunity to give it a clean up and show you how easy it is. So the first thing I'm going to need are some products. And what better to use than products from a brand that I haven't actually featured on the channel for about a year and a half now, but it's the products that I used when I first started off in sparkling autos, and that's Bilt Hamber. Well, 3 Bilt Hamber products to be precise, and a couple of products from a couple of different brands. But more on the products as we're going through the video. Now, although I did highlight at the start of the video that the exhaust I'm cleaning is already off the car, all the processes I'm explaining will be exactly the same. It's just it'll be a bit more awkward if the exhaust is attached, as in reaching certain parts of the exhaust may not be possible, or certainly not practical. But in terms of chemicals, brushes, cloths, everything else is all going to be exactly the same. So starting off with a bucket of warm water, just add a couple of splashes of Surf X HD and a little splash of shampoo, nothing too scientific, an old cloth or mitt, you certainly don't want to use a good one, and some 4.0 grade steel wool, which is important and we'll come back to that later. Imagining then that the exhaust is attached to the car, the first step you do when you're washing the car is your pre-wash. So I'm spraying the exhaust with a 10% dilution of Surf X HD, and as with any pre-wash, just allowing it to soak for a couple of minutes. Now you will see me cleaning the inside here. I had no intention of actually cleaning the inside of the exhaust out. This was purely because I didn't want any black carbon deposits coming over the exhaust as I was trying to demonstrate this. That being said, it does absolutely no harm to keep an old wheel cleaner brush lying around, and when you're cleaning your car, stick it up your back pipe and give it a good clean. After a couple of minutes to well, and you want to go in with a soft brush, not one of your makeup style brushes that you would use around your badges or your LCD screens, but not a hard brush either. You certainly don't want to go in here with a wire brush. These ones from SJJC are absolutely perfect for this job. And once again here, I'm just giving around the inner lip a bit of a clean, just because I don't want the carbon deposits coming all over me or all over the exhaust while I'm trying to clean it out. And the rinsing stage would obviously be done as you're rinsing the rest of the car. As expected then, the pre-wash has taken some of the sort of grubbiness off the surface, but it certainly hasn't cleaned it by any standards. Let's face it, it was never going to have any impact on the corrosion of the tar spots. So let's move on to the next stage, which obviously will be our contact wash. So at which stage in the process you actually clean your exhaust is entirely up to you. Personally speaking, I do my exhaust at the same time I'm doing my wheels. I do the 4 wheels first and then I'll go to my exhaust and use the same water basically if I've made up a bucket of wheel shampoo. I then just take an old detailing cloth or even an old wash mitt and use that just to go around the exhaust, and that way I'm not worried if I have to throw it out afterwards. Now in this particular instance, all I'm really doing with that mitt was to get some suds around the exhaust just for a bit of lubrication for the next stage, which is our steel wool. And as I did say at the beginning, I would only ever use 4.0 grade steel wool for this. And basically, if you've never heard of this product or used it before, it's an ultra fine grade of steel wool and it's used for polishing and cleaning delicate surfaces, like stainless steel for example. It's not expensive by any standards, it's very easy to come by. In fact, I'll leave a link below where you can buy some on Amazon for just a couple of pounds for a multi-pack. And as you can see here when I rinse it off, given that I've only done half of the exhaust for demonstration purposes, you can see the difference it's made to this side compared to this side. It has just effortlessly taken that surface corrosion away without having any real damage and impact on the exhaust itself. So I'll go ahead and clean off the rest of it, we'll speed up the footage and then move on to the next stage. And I know I shouldn't have to say this, I really shouldn't have to say this, but if anybody's watching this as I'm rinsing and thinks it's a good idea to spray water up the exhaust pipe, please do not do this. And if you do decide to do it, I don't want to know about it, it's not my problem, don't complain to me about it, you've been warned. Now that we've cleared that up, we can dry the exhaust off and move on to the decontamination stage. Tar spots first of all then, and for that I'm going to use what's left in this sample bottle of Autoglanz Spar Tar. However, when I last used it on the easy car care video, I didn't clean it out as it was only a sample bottle and now the trigger won't work. So all I'm going to have to do is just take the trigger off and put some directly onto the cloth and rub it in that way. It's not the end of the world, and it's certainly not a bad reflection on Autoglanz. At the end of the day, it's a sample bottle. They're designed for products to be used once or twice and then disposed of. So this is something to be expected. At this point I was just going to leave the bottle aside, and then I remembered it's me and it's going to fall over and spill tar remover all over the driveway, which will stink the house out for days. So I put the lid back on and threw it in the bin. Always important as well when you're demonstrating a product close up to the camera to make sure that you hold it away from the camera that nobody can actually see what you're doing. Apologies for that, but I think you get the basic gist of what's going on here. I have some tar remover on a cloth and I'm rubbing it over the tar spots that are on the exhaust. What I would actually like to highlight here in relation to that is that ordinarily when you're using a tar remover, you'd spray it on and leave it to dwell for a few minutes and then agitate it if need be. Whereas this, I just had it on the cloth, rubbed it on those tar spots and they came off straight away. So yes, there may be a different nature of bonding when it's directly onto stainless steel compared to clear coat, but also it shows that this is actually a pretty good tar remover. And now I've given it a quick once over again with the shampoo mix, rinsed it off thoroughly, we'll dry it off again and go on with the iron oxide remover, in this case using Bilt Hamber's Karcher. So just a couple of sprays to ensure even coverage, not the 15 to 20 sprays that I've just given it. And then leave it to dwell for a couple of minutes, again the same as you would with the bodywork. As expected, you get that lovely purple colour changing reaction from the fallout remover, and of course you get that beautiful aroma. Although to be fair to Karcher, it's not anywhere near as bad as most. As a matter of fact, I know some people who actually quite like the smell of Karcher. Each to their own, I guess. And having sped up the footage to condense 5 minutes into 30 seconds, we're now ready to proceed with removing the fallout remover. But before doing that, I'm taking the steel wool back out of the soap solution and just going over and agitating around. This way we're going to make sure we've absolutely got everything off it, it's clean, it's fully decontaminated, and it's ready for the next stage. Also, I was going to be throwing the steel wool out anyway, so I might as well use it up. And to be fair, it does look pretty cool. But I think that's probably enough faffing around. Let's get this rinsed off, get it dried off and get it inside for the next stage, which will also be the final stage, and that will be using a metal polish. And for the final stage, I'm using a product from Angel Wax called Alchemy. Now, anybody familiar with the Angel Wax brand will know that their tagline is Heaven Sent Wicked Finish. Well, this is many things, but there's one thing this product is not, and that's heaven scented. However, in its defense, it's a metal polish. And a product that's designed for removing corrosion from metal probably shouldn't really be judged on its scent. But I digress. Now that we've got the camera in focus, let's get on with polishing this exhaust. And to anyone who's never used any form of metal polish before, there's not really much that can go wrong here. All you're really doing is getting a bit onto the end of the cloth and rubbing it around the surface. Now you can do this in circular motions, you can do it in straight line, you can do it whatever's comfortable for yourself, it doesn't really matter. The only thing that is important is that you get a good even coverage and that you're not afraid to put a little bit of elbow grease into this. At the end of the day, a polish is supposed to be an abrasive, and you're polishing a hard metal surface, you don't have any clear coat to protect, so don't be afraid to go to town with it. And thankfully, unlike when you're applying some sort of protection, there's absolutely no cure time with the polish. Once you're finished with it, you've put your lid back on, you can go ahead and remove it with a nice clean dry cloth. And the only thing to do after that is to sit back and appreciate the results of all your efforts. Provided you've already washed the rest of the car, of course. And now that it looks nice and clean and shiny, let's take a look at what it looked like beforehand and compare the results. So are the results perfect? Well, no, of course not. Do remember that this was a scrap exhaust lying in the back of a garage. This was just to demonstrate the improvements that could be made using similar products to what you probably already have on your shelf. If you enjoyed this video and you found it useful, please do give it a thumbs up and leave a comment below, let me know what you think. And if you haven't already done so, do subscribe to the channel. Other than that, I've nothing really to add to this one, other than to thank you very much for watching, hopefully see you in the next one, and take care.